The eastern coast of Ghana can be found within two administrative regions, Greater Accra and Volta, with a total of 7 administrative districts: Ningo Prampram, Adan East, Adan West, South Dong, Aloga, Keta, and Ketu South. This part of the country is mostly comprised of wetlands, 2 major lagoons are Songo and Keta, rivers and creeks. The vegetation is made of short grasslands, mangroves, and savanna woodlands with a long stretch of sandy beach. Ghana's eastern coast has a long history of erosion and flooding. This dates to 1907, when the shoreline of Keta retreated by about 600 feet. In addition to a rise in the sea level, which is driven by climate change, mangrove deforestation has been identified as a major contributor to the persistent flooding along the coast, increasing its vulnerability to erosion. Between 1980 and 2011, over 24% of the total mangrove cover of Ghana was lost. The situation has since deteriorated. The reduction in mangrove cover in the Keta area has contributed to an increase in the exportation of land-based pollutants into the coastal environment, and the result, water quality problems such as hypoxia and a decline in fisheries in these areas. There have been several attempts to help reduce the occurrence of these hazards and the accompanying effects within the area. The interventions have been in the form of advocacy, public education, and restoration activities by various institutions such as NGOs, the District Assembly, and international organizations. A major intervention by the government of Ghana is the construction of sea defense structures to stabilize the rate at which the beaches are eroding away. Mangroves, however, present a strong nature-based solution against coastal hazards such as flooding, erosion, land-based pollution, and ocean acidification. It also cuts biodiversity loss, contributes to blue carbon, and is good for excess anthropogenic greenhouse gas. While they have the potential to mitigate such coastal hazards and improve livelihoods at the community level, empirical data supporting their nature-based solution potential is limited in Ghana. The adaptation and implementation of existing policies for mangrove protection is challenged by the fact that such policies operate at the national level and do not address the root cause of mangrove deforestation, which are unemployment and poverty. They also lack the capacity to be implemented at the municipal and community levels. Through a co-design process, MANCOGA is seeking to develop a suite of decision support tools using mangroves as evidence of how nature-based solutions can reduce local greenhouse gas levels, improve coastal water quality, and mitigate erosion and flood risk along the eastern coast of Ghana.
Together with the Institute of Environment and Sanitation Sciences, both from the University of Ghana, are collaborating with the Assemblies General Research Institute in Germany to spearhead the project. Undoubtedly, hazards such as erosion, flooding, and pollution are among the toughest environmental challenges confronting our coastline, with rippling effects on livelihoods and the economy. The management of these issues continue to be hampered by multiple factors such as the lack of reliable data and information, insufficient communication among stakeholders, and we have missed the pathways to reach informed decisions that guarantee sustained solution and impacts.
And we clearly want to express our support for MANCOGA, and for the next 2 years so you will have a long time dealing with mangroves and to get to know each other in the course of it. So a great thank you to Meerwissen, Helmholtz-Zentrum, and also the University of Ghana and everybody else who is supporting this. I just wanted to say a few words about Meerwissen, because it was an initiative launched in 2019, which already funded 16 partnership projects for marine science that matters. It fostered ocean research, enabled dialogue between science and policy, as well as data and digital innovation. MANCOGA is part of this official contribution by Meerwissen to the UN Decade of UN Science, of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. So, to achieve all this, mangroves are an excellent opportunity to make use of nature-based solutions.
The 1982 Constitution of Ghana affirms the need for sustainable development. So specifically, a provision was reserved for our peoples. And this, with your permission, I quote Article 36.9, paraphrase Article 36.9 of the 1982 Constitution, which is also under the directive principles of state policy. And it simply requires the states to take appropriate measures to protect and safeguard the national environment for future generations, and to seek collaboration with other states and non-state actors to protect the environment. As such, the Alliance, since its establishment, has taken this task of collaboration with state actors as one of its primary objectives of ensuring that the environment is protected and enhanced. EPA, working closely with other institutions of higher learning and research, puts on the University of Ghana with all other entities, continue to provide the quality workforce that are trained at these institutions to run the affairs of protecting the environment.
MANCOGA believes that mangroves save vulnerable coasts, and our coastlines are indeed vulnerable. We need to build resilience, we need to increase the resilience of our coastline to be able to withstand all these pressures that we are talking about. And we think that mangroves can help us do that. The science is proving that hard engineering measures, when combined with nature-based solutions, are more effective in addressing some of these challenges, but also they also present us with enormous opportunities. MANCOGA seeks to build connections between community leaders, politicians, administrators, technocrats, the neutral media, civil society, and NGOs. Again, this is what we the scientists are thinking, and we believe that you'll be able to add on to this list. We want to be able to facilitate decisions on litigation options, policy reforms, and we want to hear from all of us here today as to what else we can do to facilitate decision making as far as this project is concerned.
For other areas as well as you. So these are questions that we can try from access to give you basically when we work with these models to give you a tool at hand to see, okay, this is something where we can ask the questions, what if we change the height of the water levels due to climate change? What if we change the coastline by putting in additional barriers? What if we regrow mangroves? And these what ifs are also something that you can define.
Which elements will be the most relevant for the project, and which we are going to realize now as the first step? Of course, later with progress of the project, we can adapt our toolbox. So now, therefore, I would like to sort them and arrange these tools according to this letter of participation. So at the information level, we will have website, newsletters, we will have a recap.
Often find out how involved are they when it comes to this project. Because when they are involved and understand its benefits more, they can also help in trying to preserve and rather get an alternative in place of the mangrove. So more or less like how involved is gender in the project. Thank you.
Our mothers are women who use the mangrove as fuel for processing their fish. We have their leader in the room. So we've invited the leader in charge of the Fish Smokers Association to be part of this meeting. But of course, like we said, this is just the beginning of the stakeholder mapping process. And so that is why we are all here. We are giving what we have as far as we can think, but we believe that there may be other relevant stakeholders that we may be missing on our list. So you can always prompt us if anything comes to mind. And we also invited somebody from the gender desk at the Ministry of Local Government to be part of the group. So I'm sure she's around. Thank you.
My question is, what plans do the project put in place to maintain and to protect the mangrove, whilst the truth of the estuary is negatively affecting the mangrove and the economy in general?
As a fish eater, especially of smoked fish, the value of mangrove for smoking, from what I know, is one, the heat the mangrove produces is quite high. But more importantly, when you use the red mangrove, the reason why they prefer that is that the smoke gives the fish a brownish color. It also shines. But that smoke also has some properties that prevent insect attack on the fish, so it stays longer. We've never investigated scientifically that process. So you can have a two-stage process where you can use normal fuel wood for the general processing, heating, whatever. Then you finally use mangrove towards the end to give it that attractive nature and the preservative properties. So you don't have to depend so much on mangrove throughout the process. But as I say, this is something that the fish smokers themselves will see how practical it is.
As in the fishery sector, we are engaged in revival and restoring the depletion of the stock of the fish stock. It coincides with reviving the mangrove sector too. And in this wise, the mangrove has become an integral part of the co-management design we are building the fishery sector through the Ghana Fisheries Recovery Program we are taking from now. So I want to ask, in my opinion, we can collaborate as in the co-design objective to make this co-designing with the co-management of the fisheries sector along the land bridges, which can be more effectively implemented. Can we go more ahead than we can count? Thank you.
We want people to gather to get the message. Where do they gather? It's a festival. So either you create a festival or you tie your messaging to one of the existing festivals in such a way that you can get that broad outreach.
You know, the area, the jurisdiction, Keta and the MANCOGA enclave, it's a coastal community.
Yes.
And we know coastal communities are characterized by certain kind of vegetations and behaviors and livelihood activity types. I'm talking about the fishing, I'm talking about the wetland ecosystem in which the communities that are within this area are situated.
Okay.
Now, the problem is because human beings are also staying in this highly specialized ecological zones, the interactions between human and nature, if not managed well, creates problems.
Mangroves, as we all know it, that is sequester carbon 50 times than ordinary plants.
Yeah.
So the best way to fight climate change is to plant more trees and plant more mangroves.
Okay.
So I think it's a good idea to go into mangrove restoration and also to advocate for its protection and so law to protect mangroves.
Okay.
If you really want to combat climate change.
Okay. Okay. I think this is an initiative that we as a country we have not explored so much. Okay. So my thoughts are that if these ideas and initiatives are now coming on for us to see the possibility of using the mangroves as a nature-based solutions for coastal protection, it's a welcome idea. Let's give it a try and see how it goes.
Some of the pressing challenges actually we face concerning mangroves is the springing up of developments in the coastal basin where people develop houses and stuff at the coastal area, destroying mangroves. In addition to that, sometimes there are more rains as we expect at the basin, which makes our work so difficult to start.
The major problem is the coastal erosion. It's a major problem. The coast is becoming lower relative to the rise in the sea level.
Okay.
Now, it's having a problem. Another problem is depletion of fishes in our rivers, in our lagoons, and even in the sea, making life very, very, very difficult. The third problem is migration of the young, able-bodied youth from the landscape to go to other landscapes in Ghana and elsewhere. So the MANCOGA concept, which focuses on the individuals of the landscape playing their small bit to protect it, is a very wonderful project. When the people realize that they are part of the problem and part of the solution, they have a choice to make.
Great. For us, our coastline, our main issue happens to be coastal flooding and coastal erosion. Yeah. Those are the main issues that we have. I think it's a great initiative to bring all stakeholders on board to, get different perspective on what should be done. And, since it's like the first time it's being implemented, I like the approach. I like the fact that you're getting everyone's idea on board.
For my candid opinion, I know nature-based solutions work because they are in synergy with nature. The only concern that normally arises is the period of time that it takes for nature to bring back to itself. So that is the only issue
the problem has happened for a long time, so it will still need another extension of time for nature to solve the situation. So I think using mangroves as a solution to the flooding, the mangroves will take time to grow, and we must be patient with it to arrive at that point. But whilst it is growing, to have that capacity of bringing a solution to these issues, we must also find avenues, interventions in between, so that we can realize the full potential of the solution the nature-based solutions bring.
In ecosystem, for example, the major challenge has been the erosion at the beach, which affects most of our biodiversity. And also when you come to the mangrove area, the unsustainable use of the mangrove is also creating a lot of problem for the management of the site. Then also we have other programs such as the mangroves. We have pests, which is acrostichium, and also blocking of the creeks, which is not allowing for natural regeneration of the mangroves. So those are some of the major challenges that we are having in the area. All stakeholders are involved, and the result is not researchers, it's the result that we ourselves have come to accept, and the implementation becomes easier. And whatever is implemented is protected by the community.
We are very happy that this project is progressing, and I'm also to give the best regards from Mahu, who unfortunately could not join today. So you have to bear with me for these opening remarks. For those of you who attended our first workshop, some of these slides that are following now will be, but this is of course not easy and straightforward, because there is a lot of problems that we're facing in getting to a better state of the coastlines. And there is, a lack of data, insufficient communication, and then maybe lacking decision support for stakeholders. And what we try to do in MANCOGA is to address some of these issues and see how we can progress. And obviously the fact that we're sitting together here today, that we sat together a few months ago, and that we will meet again in, I just realized it's 2.5 weeks, in early November for the third workshop, is a sign that we are addressing these problems, that we're going forward with trying to find solutions to these problems.
So our focus today will be on the highlighted portion, which has a green band around it, where so based on Christiana's example, we are going to focus more on what the problem is, what the activities are, and what indicators will require in terms, and then the outputs that we will have to generate as MANCOGA. Some more information with regards to the issues that are of concern to us. So you will, in this group, discuss what questions the digital tool which we hope to create, what questions they should answer, or which issues should be addressed using the digital toolbox.
Today we'll hope to further develop our theory of change and way to finalize it. So therefore I would like to recap briefly what is the main idea of the theory of change. And it serves to identify our desired results and the steps we need to go to really realize these desired states.
Because we are now moving into the science. So first of all, we can, I think in terms of primary...
How the portions are best in that ecosystem.
And then if we take government institutions...
Let's wait till the next 5 years before we start again. Is there any some kind of...
In your point of view, the enablers.
These are institutions that are focused on environmental tools where kids and their mothers who are there.
The coda, though they are young, but they have information. We also Mesty Waka Project, Arocha Ghana. First of the Nation is one of the NGOs that is based in the Volta region and working in the Greater Accra region. And they are working in the fisheries sector a lot. So we can follow them for many information on this coastal movement, Atitati, Chita, and Buti. We also have communities in the Keta municipality like Kedi Kobe, Abuja Kobe, and Jeli Kobe. Then in the Spatial South municipality, we have Kobe. They always be in between Keta and Ketu South. And my time is up. Thank you. So we can also get okay. Adam, Hiroshima. Welcome.
Thank you. Let's clap for them. They spoke about coastal protection. Shall we have group on mangroves and also data on ecological sensitivity areas? For Forestry Commission, we will also need land cover data from them. We will also resort to internet sources for data, Coastal Development Authority, whether there are plans and programs for poverty alleviation or improving other services in those areas, Ghana Hydrological Services, Ghana Statistical Services for demographic data for the community, the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority for land use maps, NCCA. There is a project that NCCA executed and a report from it, which is titled Environmental Governance Report, has some rich source of data that would be very useful to the project. We'll also need data from the Center for African Wetlands, SEGIS, Water Resources Commission, Ministry of Tourism. The medium-term development plan for the area will also serve as a very good source of data. The Assembly bylaws, the academia, the Ghana Health Services, Ministry of Gender and Social Protection, Fisheries Commission, and Biosafety Institutions. So in all, we identified 18 states and NGOs who work in that area and would be very good sources of data for the project. Thank you.
Mangroves, or we have less waves and things like that. So the questions for our group, what are the potential dangers first that MANCOGA should investigate, and what are the enablers for positive change? So I will let the reporter.
So with the dangers, we have implications of dredging, climate change, floods, the causes of flood, environmental activities that destroy the water bodies, water intrusion, overexploitation of the mangroves, tourism and its negative effects, growth of communities, changes in the salinity of the lagoon, soil quality, that's the nature of the land, and conflicting land uses. Then with the solutions, we have planting more mangroves, waste management system, continuous education and sensitization on the issue. Then tourism, combining plantation of mangroves with other aquaculture activities and economic activities. Thank you.
It was suggested by the group that there should be a digital map that shows the water quality of the mangrove area. There should also be pictorial or visuals showing local ecological knowledge and that of their application. Also, there should be an interactive tool for trainer, like people within the communities trained on how to analyze real time the changes or that are happening in the mangrove areas. There should also be information on sustainable mangrove management. There should also be a time series of analysis of the effects of encroachment on the mangrove areas. But one other thing before I forget is that when we are talking about the mangroves, it should prioritize all aspects of the mangroves. That has to do with the livelihoods, the trees, the ecosystem, the animals, and then the functional importance. Thank you.
Please, we were able to understand that in order to get information about the traditional management systems of the mangroves, we are able to source the data from the Municipal Assembly, the Forestry Commission. We are also able to source that data from community members, opinion leaders, clans heads, family heads, and you are able to source that data from existing literature conducted by the academic field. So in this case, springing from this, we're able to establish that mangroves management traditionally is basically done by the clan system, because some areas were considered virgin lands before the arrival of settlers. We also have local watchdogs or security initiatives that can also be able to preserve and conserve the areas. And so I will stop here.
Even though we have Ramsar sites, the Ramsar concept is unwise use. So if we are going to bring in agroforestry silviculture procedures onto the mangrove system, how is that going to tie on with the traditional management systems, mangrove ownership of mangrove cutting rights, ownership of the right to bring mangrove to the market on a particular day? How are we going to marry all of these together?
Yes, what you said is very true. So in answering your question, I would say this is a time we have to bring on board whatever strategies we have concerning alternative livelihood approaches. It should kind of recognize the economic and social self-interest of the coastal communities and the resource users.
We are able to bring all these groups of people that Prof mentioned, bring them together, and then synergize their activities and all that. Yes, so I think doing that, moving forward, it is possible to institutionalize some of these management measures easier.
We use the primal approach. We can manage mangroves, where we can even zone the areas where we have areas that we can reserve and areas we can cut and all that.
Palatable to everybody. Things Prof mentioned regarding as the pepper, the fish, the ginger, the water, the oil, and for a good manager, all these things can be brought together to produce a delicious soup that Prof wants to have.
I and my staff, what we do is that we protect the core areas. So most of the mangroves in the core areas, as compared to the buffer and the transition, the core is more protected.
And so most of the lands and mangroves are largely managed by the family, clan heads, and traditional owners. So for now, we'll encourage more of the local management and local control and local conservation of the mangroves as we look at viable alternatives that will be able to integrate the modern-day systems into the management of the mangroves. That's just my...
And engage further, especially with the heads of the institutions and get more feedback on activities, get them more involved in activities.
So I was expecting that in schools we can liven up through the forestry department this wildlife clubs where we will put the project on the school children.